He was the first king of the universe. Not a king of a kingdom, not a king of a country. The actual, literal first ruler of everything that existed. And almost nobody remembers his name for anything except how he lost that throne. We've already told you what his son did to him in our Kronos episode. What we haven't told you is who he actually was, why he did what he did, and the one word he spat out in fury while he was dying that every single titan on this channel has been named after ever since. Every episode this channel has ever published, going all the way back to its very first video, technically takes place inside a universe this one figure ruled over first, before anyone else had a turn. Ouranos, the personification of the sky, was created by Gaia alone. As we covered in her episode, one of two children she generated without a partner, meant to stretch across her and cover her completely on every side. Some later sources describe him instead as born of ether, the bright upper air. Either way, the pattern is the same. The very first ruler of the cosmos didn't inherit his throne or conquer it. He simply was the sky, and the sky, by default, sat above everything else that existed. It's a strange kind of authority to hold. Not earned, not seized, not voted or fought for, just geometrically inevitable. Nothing existed yet that could physically be higher than him, which meant nothing existed yet that could challenge him either. His entire early reign is a consequence of position, not conquest. Ouranos took Gaia, his own mother and creator, as his consort, and together they ruled as the first royal pair in existence. Ancient sources describe his reign in purely structural terms. He doesn't have battles, doesn't have a court, doesn't have rivals. He simply is the outer boundary of the universe, with Gaia as the ground beneath it. And nothing exists yet that could challenge that arrangement. It's the simplest, most absolute form of power any figure in this mythology ever holds. Compare it to Zeus, whose authority requires the loyalty of a court, the outcome of a war, and constant management of rivals and prophecies threatening to unseat him. Ouranos never has to manage anyone. For a while at least, there simply isn't anyone else capable of being managed. Together, Ouranos and Gaia had 18 children in 3 distinct forms. We cover the full roster in a dedicated episode soon. 12 titans, roughly human in shape, though vast in scale. 3 cyclopes, single-eyed master craftsmen, and 3 hecatoncheires, giants with 100 hands and 50 heads each, described as the most powerful beings ever born. 3 completely different body plans, born to the exact same 2 parents in the exact same manner, with no ancient source ever explaining why the variation happened, or whether Ouranos had any warning before each birth of which form the next child would take. Ouranos looked at all 18 and reacted to them very differently depending on their form. And it's worth being precise about what monstrous meant to him here, since it wasn't behavior. None of his children had done anything to him yet. His fear and disgust were entirely about how they looked, decided before any of them had said a word or taken a single action of their own. Ouranos found the Cyclopes and the Hecatoncheires monstrous, not evil, not dangerous, simply unbearable to look at, according to Hesiod. So as each of his 18 children was born, he forced them back inside Gaia's body, sealing them away from the light entirely. This wasn't isolated to the ones he found monstrous. All 18 children were eventually imprisoned this way, trapped inside their own mother, causing her constant physical agony. Ouranos ruled the first kingdom in existence by making his own wife's body a prison. Notice the method here, because it matters later. Not exile, not destruction, but concealment. Keeping the children close, contained, and out of sight, rather than gone entirely. It's the exact same underlying instinct Kronos will act on a generation later when he swallows his own children, instead of simply refusing to have them. Different method, same fear, same father-son inheritance. Neither of them seemed able to recognize in themselves. We go through Gaia's plan and Kronos' role in detail in the Kronos episode, so here's the short version. Gaia forged an adamantine sickle, asked her Titan children for help, and only Kronos agreed. He ambushed his father and castrated him with the blade Gaia provided, ending Ouranos' reign in a single violent act. The first successful act of open rebellion in the history of this universe, carried out by the youngest and, by most accounts, least physically imposing of his siblings, against a figure who by every measure of raw power should have been unbeatable. What we haven't covered yet is what happened in the moments immediately after. Because Ouranos didn't just lose his throne silently. As he fell, dying by the myth's own logic though not truly killed, Ouranos cursed his children for what they'd done, and specifically cursed the ones who had stood by and let it happen. He called them Titanes, from a Greek root meaning those who strain, or overreachers, and warned that they would eventually pay a price for their crime. This is, according to Hesiod himself, the literal origin of the word Titan. Not a species name, not a proud title, but a curse spoken by a dying father, promising his children's downfall before it had even begun. It's a detail that changes how the word sounds every time it's used. Every time this channel has said Titan in any episode, it's been quoting the specific insult a furious, defeated father hurled at his own children in his final moment of power, a name none of them chose, wearing a threat as a label for 3,000 years and counting. Ouranos' overthrow wasn't just an ending. It was one of the most generative single moments in this entire mythology. From the blood that fell onto Gaia, the Erinyes were born, the Furies, spirits of vengeance specifically tied to crimes against family, an almost too perfect consequence given what had just happened. The giants and the Meliae, ash tree nymphs, were born the same way, and from the severed remains that fell into the sea foam gathered and gave rise to Aphrodite herself, fully formed, a detail later Roman writers loved for how strange it made her origin compared to nearly every other Olympian. No mother, no proper birth, just violence transformed directly into beauty with nothing in between. One act of violence, an entire generation of new divine beings, several of whom, the Furies especially, exist specifically because of what was done to their own grandfather, carrying his punishment forward as their entire divine purpose. Here's the detail almost every retelling skips entirely. Ouranos doesn't die, and he doesn't disappear. He simply recedes, diminished, no longer ruling, but still present as the literal physical sky stretching over everything that happens next. It's a genuinely rare fate in this mythology. Most defeated rulers here are either destroyed outright or imprisoned somewhere specific, like Tartarus. Ouranos gets neither. He simply keeps existing, permanently visible, permanently powerless, unable to be avoided by anyone who ever looks upward. In several accounts, it's Ouranos alongside Gaia who later warns Kronos that he too will be overthrown by his own child. The same fate delivered as a curse now returning as a prophecy, spoken by the very figure it first happened to. He becomes something stranger than a defeated king, a permanent watching presence, still technically there for every single event in this mythology that follows. Every battle, every betrayal, every coronation on this channel from this point forward happens directly underneath him, whether any given episode mentions it or not. The literal sky is never written out of the story. It simply stops being the protagonist of it. Modern retellings tend to treat Ouranos as a footnote, the guy Kronos overthrew, mentioned once and never returned to. But he's the actual template. Every single overthrow in this pantheon, Kronos versus Ouranos, Zeus versus Kronos, runs the exact same shape. A father who fears or abuses his children, and children who eventually turn on him for it. He set the pattern before anyone else existed to break it. Every cycle of fear observation already made on this channel about Kronos and Zeus actually starts one generation earlier than either of those episodes told you, with a father who had no father of his own to learn the pattern from, and arrived at it apparently on his own. His name survives today attached to an actual planet, Uranus, the only one named for a Greek god rather than a Roman one. A small, strange piece of immortality for the king whose entire legacy is the curse he spoke while losing everything. Next, the 18 children born from his cruelty, and the very different fates that were waiting for each of them. Subscribe so you don't miss it.